What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back in the building with another video. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, man, let's get right on into it. We know what we got going on. You know, I'm saying this game versus the Bucs is not going to be a walk in the park. It is definitely going to be a tough go when it comes to Tampa Bay. They are playing some fantastic football this year. But let's get right on into it, man. Let's take a look and see what we got. This will be a great game. People won for the ages. Both teams are 4-1 atop their respective divisions. The 49ers are currently atop the NFC in general due to not having lost any divisional game, any NFC games played amongst our, basically we won. We the best. Okay. We can DJ Khaled this for the moment. But yes, the 49ers did win their last game out, and we are atop the NFC because we haven't lost any games to any NFC opponents. Also, we've won our first three division games. Now we own tiebreakers over everyone. We got lucky with the Rams last Thursday. The Cardinals are really starting to free fall. Seems like we might have to keep an eye on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. For the Bucs, however, they've owned the NFC South, which isn't hard seeing as the other teams in the South suck. No disrespect to the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers, but they're not really hard to beat. You know, they should change their names to the Aints, Pigeons, and Kitty Cats. That's literally how bad that division can be at times, man. Like you don't see them, And I'm just being honest, and I know a lot of people are like, "Dang, man, you said no disrespect and then just slapped him in the face," but that's just what it is, man. I'm sorry, the NFC South has been a division for years that was, the joke of the NFL, the butt of all the jokes. I mean, heck, there was a time when the NFC West was such. Every division has wound up being a bad division at some point. Heck, I remember when we called the NFC East the NFC least. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that can go on there. But considering we marched into New Orleans and took them out, we took over Bourbon Street. I love how our fans travel. Both teams have been a part of some close wins. The 49ers have won all of their games by a total of 9 points. So we're definitely not blowing anyone out. Neither are the Bucs. They have won a total of all their games by 9 points as well. Both teams are very similar in the fact that we lost by 5 and they lost by 6 on our only losses of the season. Baker is healthy, playing some MVP level football. I can definitely say that much. Here's a nice stat for us. He's 0-4 against the 49ers. He only has 2 TDs and he's thrown 4 interceptions. So that bodes well from us for a historical standpoint and, application to the game as well. In this game, though, we'll see what happens. Let's talk about who won't be playing in this game. That's going to be the unfortunate part there. We're going to share the screen, let y'all see too. Currently, right now, limited in practice was Kalia Davis, defensive tackle Kevin Givens with his pec, QB Mac Jones, knee and oblique, Upton Stout with the ankle, CJ West with the thumb. And then, of course, full participation in practice was Kendrick Bourne, punter Thomas Morstead, safety Malik Mustafa, and defensive end Michael Williams. Now, I don't think Mustafa's going to play. I think they would have had to activate him already to be able to put him out there. But I definitely don't think he plays this weekend. I love what Mustafa is doing. I love what I've seen from him. I like everything, but I don't think he's playing this weekend. I think it's just a little too quick for the 49ers liking, even though we've seen it. Basically, he was out there pretty much full go at practice. So we may or may not see him. That remains to be seen. But for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Bucky Irving, those guys did not practice. Cornerback Zion McCullum and Benjamin Morrison, they didn't practice either. And then limited in practice was Levante David, Jamil Dean, safety Christian Ising, and Tristan Wirfs with the knee. So typically, you know how this works. If you're limited or questionable, you're going to play. If neither one showed through, then, you most likely will not be on the field. Typically, most people will wind up being out. We know we're going to have to deal with the superstar that is Emeka Egbuka. This kid is a star in the making, man. Like he is literally already in the discussion to be in the top 10 of receivers in the league. You know what I mean? Of course, you give Justin Jefferson his credit, but to be honest with you, Puka Nakua is coming. He is coming. He's already here. That dude is that he's that guy. You got in our division, Jackson Smith and Jigba. This kid is a superstar. So it's like you can look across each division and find yourself a top tier receiver. But I'm gonna say this, Emeka Ibuka, yeah, yeah, you got to get that man his props. You cannot play around with him. I do think that we got to be very, very mindful of him and wherever he is. We might even have to bracket this guy. Um, the Bucs are a top tier team, top tier perennial playoff team. They have great leadership. Just haven't finished the job. The Bucs have a great defense. Run defense is second to none. No one has been able to break more than 86 yards individually, and they gave up 100 yards rushing, but it was by committee. And that last week, that was just last week, and that was Kenneth Walker the third that did that. So when you take a look at it, man, it's a little bit of a rough go when it comes down to it, because when you look at what the Bucs have been able to do versus what we've been able to do, it's not much difference. That's why I said the teams are eerily similar. So you got Baker Mayfield, 1,283 yards on the season right now. He is got 10 TDs and 1 interception. That is a great stat line. He's been sacked 9 times. You know what I mean? And then if you flip over to the San Francisco 49ers, you know what I'm saying? We got Mac Jones right now with 905 yards. Man's top 300 yards passing in every game except for one, I think. But he's got 6 TDs and 1 interception. So once again, the similarities are crazy. Then you go over to the rushing. The rushing, honestly, is the same for both teams. We got a total of 426 yards as a unit. They got a total of 552 as a unit. They had 3 guys that already got over 100 yards in total. We only have 2, Brian Robinson Jr. and CMC. Both guys are the starters are averaging 3.3 yards for Bucky Irving and 3.1 yards for Christian McCaffrey. We've not been able to get our run game going whatsoever. It's been a little frustrating as far as that's concerned. But that usually was the strength of our team. But while Mac Jones has been playing quarterback, the strength of our team has been the passing game. And that's a little bit different because typically we don't have that as an option. We typically want to make sure that we definitely do go ahead and, get the ball out as much as we can to do the things that we need to do. But we just got to be mindful of make sure, once again, we're not running Christian McCaffrey into the ground. The man is set for almost 400 touches this year. He's on pace for that. And while I know Christian feels his body can take it, as you get older, people, things don't get better. Stuff gets worse. And it gets harder, especially when you're beating your body up on a continual basis. Christian doesn't have home run speed. He's never had that kind of speed in his career. What I'm saying? He's been able to get away from some people, but you've never seen Christian McCaffrey listed as one of the fastest people in the NFL. It's just not something that happens, and it's nothing against him, but it's not something that's built into his repertoire of weapons, so to speak. But then when you take a look at it, his dual threat ability is what scares teams. They know he's a viable threat in the run game. They know he's a great blocker, and they know he's a great runner. So all 3 of those things pose a nice threat for a defensive coordinator and can keep you up at night trying to figure out how to stop this dude, or at least at a bare minimum, slow him down. Because sometimes there are guys that are just going to get theirs, and you're just going to have to deal with that. Bucky Irving, currently right now, he's leading them. Like I said, 3.3 yards a carry. He ain't gotten to the end zone rushing, and neither has Christian McCaffrey. So the guy that got into the end zone for them, oddly enough, was Rachaad White. He's got 3 touchdowns rushing. And for us, we don't have any rushing touchdowns whatsoever, which is definitely mind-boggling, especially at this point in the season. We are 5 games in, and we ain't got not 1 rushing touchdown. That's definitely different for the 49ers. And then when you come over and you take a look at the Bucs, there it is. There's that man, that bad man, as Stephen A. used to call Aaron Rodgers. Emeka Egbuka has 25 receptions for 445 yards. He's averaging 17.8 yards a catch. He has 147 yards after the catch. So he is a yak guy. That is a guaranteed thing right there. And then you take a look at it. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. That definitely tells you that that is Baker Mayfield's number one target. Of course, when you don't have Chris Godwin Jr. and you don't have Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka is going to get fed. Now, here's the thing. When Chris Godwin and Mike Evans do return, what do the Buccaneers do? Because you're going to have to feed all three mouths. And at the same time, Godwin and Evans have started to make money in their careers, and Egbuka is a rookie. So you probably got Egbuka for about 2 more years on the low, and then eventually he gonna come knocking at that door, going, "Hey, I'm I'm that guy. I'm gonna need that guy kind of money." So eventually that's going to be there. Bucky is out. Yeah. There's lots of people that are out. Actually, as a matter of fact, I appreciate you, Steve-O. You can throw in anybody that you know that's out into the chat, man. I appreciate you. But yeah, when you take a look at the receiving and whatnot, of course, next leading receiver was Bucky Irving, who we know is out. 193 yards. He's got 2 of the CDs that Baker has thrown. Rest of it would have been Sterling Shepard. You got Mike Evans and Cade Otton, Tez Johnson. So once again, Mike Evans, you can forget about. You still got Sterling Shepard. You got to keep a close eye on him, just in general. But when you take a look at it, just for the most part, looking at some of the statistics from a offensive standpoint for the Buccaneers, you got a couple of people to take care of. You got to make sure you keep your eye on Emeka Egbuka. You got to make sure you keep your eye on Sterling Shepard, because while he may be a little bit older, you never let wily vets have a day. Because when they have a day, they have a day. They like to go out there and they like to ball, and they like to play hard, and they like to make you look bad as well. Buka. Yeah, look, man. Look, I love what KB did, but we all know KB, and we all know what he is, and we all know he can be sometime. And we all know that sometimes KB's on and sometimes KB's off. That last game, he was on. He only missed one. I think he only dropped one pass, one of his targets. Everything else, money. So let's hope that that'll work. But basically for offense, I don't think we have to worry too much about their run game, and I don't think they're going to worry too much about ours. For us, it's going to be the passing game. You got to be mindful of Egbuka. You got to be mindful of Cade Otton. You got to be mindful of Sterling Shepard. You know what I mean? Once again, their run game isn't going to really be too much because, their guys are down and they haven't really been running the ball that well either. So I think this is just going to possibly be a little bit of a shootout. That's a little scary, only because, Mac Jones is dealing with an oblique injury. And people, let me tell you the reason that injuries really, really affect the game. Because when you're dealing with an oblique injury, that literally affects your ability to throw, because you can't put torque on your torso, and it's hard to do so. Even breathing with an oblique injury can be a pain. I've had those types of injuries before, man. They're not fun. I've pulled hamstrings, I've pulled calves, I've done it all. You know what I'm saying? I've done God has blessed me with never having broken a bone. But at the end of the day, that is definitely something that happens. And injuries in the game can limit you, especially when you're trying to play through them. There are some times where a cortisone shot just ain't gonna cut it. You know what I'm saying? The medicine, certain things, you're just in pain and you just got to fight through it. That's when the adrenaline comes in. That's when, other things come into play, and that allows you to be able to get there as far as that's concerned. But when it comes down to it, those are the guys that we got to worry about from an offensive standpoint. Our pass defense has been okay. It hasn't been, overly spectacular, but we've been doing it. Yeah. See that? Steve-O in the chat too, you know what I'm saying? He's saying that right there. Like, hey, look, man, I just sprained a couple of things. But at the end of the day, for me, when it comes down to it from an offensive standpoint, they do present a viable threat in the pass game. In the run game, I don't think either team really presents much of a threat to each other. Both of our run defense have been fairly stout. Neither one of us have given up a 100-yard rusher outside of it being a collective. No individual 100-yard rushers per se. But then when it comes to the pass defense, with this team, I don't believe we're going to be able to run a ton of zone and get away with it. I think we're going to have to actually play a little bit of man here and there and get it right. I know that we definitely do play a lot of zone, but I don't want to give Baker any opportunities. So let's get up on him, get up in him fast, and our defensive line has to start creating some kind of pressure because we have not created any kind of pressure all season long. We've created a little bit of pressure, but not too much great. Of course, Yetur Gross-Matos is out, and that doesn't surprise me. I'm so tired of him. I think of Yetur Gross-Matos almost like Jalen Hurd. The only difference between him and Hurd is he actually gets on the field once in a blue moon. Hurd just never could. But people know me. I don't like oft injured players. If you're often injured and you just sitting on the sidelines, I ain't got time to be giving you no money. I'm sorry. People would hate me if I was the owner of an NFL franchise because I'd be the person that would immediately be on you. I'd be like, look, man, I appreciate you, but time to go. Oh man, Deion, he's a horrible owner. He doesn't care about injured players. No, I care about injured players when they can turn it around, get healthy, and actually come out and produce for the team. But when you stay injured and you always on the sideline and I'm paying you millions of dollars to be on the field, no, it's not a return on my investment, people. That's how I have to think. And it is what it is. But Baker can make throws outside the pocket. That is one thing we do have to worry about because he is a very mobile quarterback. Baker is not a stand in the pocket kind of guy and deliver the ball. I'm not saying that he can't do it, but his ability to move and play action and things of that nature presents a viable threat for our defense because we do not well with running quarterbacks. We never have in this era. And for the most part, we just haven't in general. I don't care who the head coach, who the defensive coordinator's meant. We've never really been good against running quarterbacks. I think the last time we were good against them was when Patrick Willis was on the field. That was because that man had 4.3 speed, and he could catch you. You get out that backfield, Pete Willie and Barr Bowman going to light your world up. But, of course, that's in the past. Right now, we got Fred Warner and D. Winters. And if you didn't catch the little short on YouTube, I liked it. They started asking the players what team would they no, not what team. What movie would they survive? And Fred came out and said, "Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street. You know who I am, Freddy Krueger." So I like it. You know what I'm saying? If Fred's the Freddy Krueger of the team, that's cool. We can go ahead and have D. Winters be Mike Myers. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about Austin Powers. I'm talking about Michael Myers. We hope that we can get a good helmet on on Mac Jones. We can probably make him Jason. I'll have to. This is no disrespect to CMC, but we can make him Chucky. You can look at all our players and give them something. You know what I mean? Give them some type of Halloween-like moniker for them to be able to display. I'd love for our receivers to turn into, Jerry Rice and John Taylor for this game. If that's what you want to do, I'm not mad at that. If y'all want to imitate those two dudes, that'd be great. If you want to imitate T.O. as well, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? We've had some great receivers here at 49ers World. So I'm just saying, you can do that. I ain't mad at it, But all jokes aside, it's definitely going to be a great game. When it comes down to the Bucs defense, this is where it gets a little rough because they are – as far as that's concerned, they are fairly good. You know what I'm saying? They have as a total 10 sacks. And these 10 sacks are not by one individual. This is as a group. So let's just go down the list because this is insane. Tyreek Smith has a sack. Levante David has 1.5 sacks. Jacob Parrish, Antoine Winfield, Yaya Diaby, another guy. The minute I hear Yaya Diaby, I think of Breezy. This dude with his love of his draft picks, they get ingrained in my brain. I hear him like calling him constantly. So I'm like, geez. But Hassan Reddick has a sack. We all know that Hassan Reddick was the culprit that ripped off Brock Purdy's UCL. And then we got Vita Vea with 2 sacks. And then the other guy that had the half a sack with Levante David was Elijah Roberts. So this is spread out. Like it's coming from all levels. This is coming from DBs. This is coming from linebackers. DBs and linebackers for the most part. The only defensive lineman that really had the sack was Vita Vea. So for the most part, we got to be mindful of the defensive backs and linebackers because those dudes will be there. You know what I'm saying, and give us a little bit of an issue. We got to be careful with them pushing the pocket. And we've seen our O-line. Our O-line is not the best. And we ain't been protecting folks too well. You know, Mac Jones been sacked 5 times. Even though Baker's been sacked, 9, he's been in every single game. So when you come and you take a look at it, look at the passes defense. They've got 23, 6 by Tyke Smith. He's not doing too bad. They only got 2 interceptions on the year, so that's not too bad. Here's the other thing I did want to talk about. Before I'll get into that in just a second as far as the kickers are concerned. But basically, when you take a look at that, the Tampa Bay Bucs present a viable threat when it comes to their defense. And we have to be very mindful of every last person that I just named because for the most part with the defense, they're not necessarily missing, players too much. It's the offense where they're missing most of their guys, and that's probably why their offense has been still great, but just not as explosive. When you're missing a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin, yes, that definitely does bring it down. Like I said, that's not a slight to Emeka Egbuka, but hey, man, you got to do your thing. Now, as a defense, the 49ers do not have any interceptions. That's not good. I think we had one last game. Up the Stout got robbed on the bad call. That would have been his first NFL interception. That would have been fantastic. But either way, when it comes down to it, Mac Jones is going to be the starter, averaging 300 yards a game, 6 TDs, 1 interception. He's only been sacked 5 times. Of course, CMC, he's got 3.1 yards on the carry. He doesn't have any rushing touchdowns. No one has any rushing touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr. is averaging 4 yards a carry, not too bad, but we got to utilize him more because to see the disparaging difference of 91 to 27 carries, it tells me I don't even know why the hell we wasted our draft picks on Brian Robinson Jr. We was going to bring him in and just sit on the bench. Isaac Guerrero could have done that. I have full faith Guerrero could have done that. Like Brian Robinson Jr. is doing nothing better and bigger than Isaac Guerrero. I just don't understand it. And this is why I always wind up on my soapbox and people get mad, but they can say nothing because I am correct and they are incorrect. You can't argue a factual point. Period, point blank. When the 49ers draft running backs, we waste our picks. We don't believe in these guys. We don't develop these guys. And they wind up walking in a couple of years. I've said this before. I'll say it again. No one can defeat me on that because I have literal truth and you are literally saying, oh, well, it just doesn't work out. That's not factual. Coincidence is not fact. That's hope. That's a possibility. Fact is something that's real, that's happened, that goes on. And us and drafting running backs is a waste of time. Stop doing it. Use those picks on the offensive lineman. How about you do that? And stop wasting them on running backs you don't believe in. We all know Kyle Shanahan is better with undrafted running backs. That's just how he works. Him and Bobby T turn undrafted free agent running backs into superstars. It's always been that way. And I don't know why he's trying to deviate from the process, but he needs to get back into the same thing. Because I'll tell you right now, I do believe that Corey Kiner could be a star if he would have been able to stay healthy. So then when you take a look at it, you come and you look at the receiving. Of course, unfortunately, look who's leading the receiving. He leads us in rushing and he leads us in receiving. This is 52 and 91. The man is already at almost 200, 200 touches this season and we're only 5 games in. That's insane. So it shows you we're just making him shoulder the load. Of course, it's due to the fact that there's no George Kittle and there's no Ricky Pearsall and there's no Brandon Ayuk. So yes, we do have to ask him to shoulder the load sometimes, but you can spread the ball around, Kyle. You can figure out a way to get this young man, less touches and keep him, going. Because if somehow, some way we win the division to get into the playoffs, we're going to need him for that time. But either way, once again, Christian McCaffrey, 39 catches, 387 yards. He's got 3 TDs receiving. You know what I'm saying? Jake Tonjes has 3 TDs receiving. Our backup tight end, the guy who had never caught an NFL pass, he comes here and he gets himself a nice opening. When you come and look at it, Juwan Jennings has a touchdown. Juice has a touchdown. Luke Farrell and George Kittle have touchdowns. Of course, Kittle won't be playing, obviously, because of that hamstring. I say keep Kittle out at least until next week. I don't want to push that hamstring and overdo it. The guy's got to be able to come back and come back ready. And I think honestly, if you bring Kittle and Pearsall and Brock Purdy back in one game, that's a beautiful thing. Let them knock that rust off in the first quarter, kind of try to get Brock Purdy into a rhythm, and then you're good. You know what I mean? But that's just it. And when it comes down to it, when you take a look at these numbers, nobody's averaging anything crazy. Of course, KB is out here balling. He didn't get into the end zone, but I mean, 12.7 yards a catch is a beautiful thing. And Jawan Jennings, 14.3 yards a catch, and he wants to play because he got those incentives to get himself a little bit of extra bread, so he's got to try to meet those. And he definitely wants to do that before we get a full dose of Brandon Ayuk being fully healthy, ready to go, not having any setbacks, and them starting to target Ricky Pearsall more. So these are definitely the times where Juwan wants to get in there, get his touches, and do what he has to do, show up and show out. As of right now, our defense, I mean, you take a look at it, of course, the leading guy is Fred Warner out there with his 50 total tackles. As far as sacks, once again, all we have as a total unit is 6. So they've got 4 more than we do. Bryce Huff has 3. Bosa, who's out for the rest of the year, only has 2, and Up the Stout has 1. And then when you take a look at it, we got a lot of passing defense. We don't have any interceptions at all. You know what I'm saying? The guy that's leading us with pass defense right now is Renardo Green, which ain't bad. Fred Warner, of course, is out there doing it. He's always like that. Nice to have some guys with some TFLs. We got Bryce Huff with 4. D. Winters, Diamador, Lenore. They got 3 apiece. Of course, Bosa had his 4. So these things are out there, and these things are great. And I love that. What's going on, McNiner? But I love it, man. Brandon Ayuk, who's this guy? But I love the fact that we have everything that we need on our side to actually win the game. So do they. So this is going to be a hard-fought game. I do believe it's another close game. We ain't won the game by more than 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So I don't think we're going to win this game by a wide margin. Once again, I love the fact that Baker is 0-4. He has 2 TDs and 4 interceptions versus us. So that's something, once again, from a historical standpoint, that bodes very well. I do like it. And then when you take a look at the 49ers and what they have, we've still got a nice bevy of weapons, too. They got to worry about CMC. They got to worry about JJ and KB. You know what I'm saying? They got to worry about Tonjes. They have to be mindful of Farrell. You see that we've been involving Juice more, which I am so happy that we've been doing that because we've been needing to involve Juice as much as we possibly can to be able to make him a viable threat. So that's basically what it is. Yeah, man. Look, bro. I picked the Eagles in my picks for the week, and yeah, they wet the bed. Giants went and got that dub. They wet the bed on that one. But it's a divisional game, and it's rough. It's very rough when you play divisional games. Divisional games are hard because the teams know you. If there's one thing throughout the you could ask Patrick Mahomes throughout his reign of being atop the NFC West, he could literally tell you, yes, divisional games are the hardest. The Broncos played them tough. The Raiders played them tough. The Chargers played them tough. It's very rare that they are going in there and beating the brakes off of those teams, just like it's very rare for us to go in and beat the brakes off of any of the teams we have to play in our division. So when it comes down to it, the other thing I did want to talk about was we have a kicker, guys. We have a kicker. His name is Eddie Pinheiro, and I love it, and I'm very happy. The man has made every last one of his field goals. Yeah, we had a couple of little scares while the field goals were up. He had one that kind of, bounced off of the left upright and got in. So we definitely want to make sure that we're doing that and that, we watch our kickers, their kicker. Chase McLaughlin. Y'all remember him? Because he was a 49er for a little bit. He was. And I think he even missed some kicks with us. But Chase McLaughlin right now is 12 of 15 on his field goals, while Eddie P at this present time, is 11 of 11. So I'm not mad at that. So if you miss a field goal in that game, hey, there are times where missing these field goals can cost you a game. I'm hoping that Chase McLaughlin decides to be bad and misses that and screws up and does whatever he has to do so we can do what we got to do and get out there and make it happen. That's all I'm saying. So While I understand that, not every kicker is perfect and there's not 100%. You just got to, bro, if it's inside 50, I'm sorry, you need to hit that. Anything beyond 50, I can understand. You got carry, you got wind. There's a lot of things coming to play. But inside 50, an extra point should not be missed. I think any average kicker should be able to kick 50 yards or less without a problem. And extra points, those are chip shots. It's nothing. And heck, if you know your kicker kicks, when he kicked the ball, it always goes to the right. Make sure you put his ass on the left hash. Like, do what you need to do. That's all I'm saying. Make sure your special teams understands what they need to do. Make sure your kicker know what he needs to do. And Thomas Moore said, boy, you better not be trying to chase nobody down. You better look at Brett Boyer and say, look, man, I love you. I appreciate you, but I got to let this dude go and get past me before my old ass pull a hamstring. If there's one thing that can be ancient in the league, it is punters. Punters can be old as all get out. So can kickers. You don't believe me? Look at Seabass. He kicked forever. Hell, I'm telling you right now, I'd give Seabass a month and you probably could pull him off the couch and he'd probably come in and still kick, a 60-yard field goal. I don't doubt it. Man had a golden leg. Just like Robbie Gould. You know what I'm saying? Like kickers and punters can be old. You can be a kicker and a punter and last in the league 20, 30 years. You're not going to make a ton of money because they don't pay kickers and punters ridiculous sums of money. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen a kicker break more than $5-6 million a year max. You know what I'm saying? It's actually a stat I got to look up. If anybody can find that, let me know. It's the highest that a kicker has ever been paid because I don't recall kickers making more than $5-6 million a year, at least to my liking. But basically, when it comes down to it, this game, we have to be very mindful. And we got to be careful with the guys that I named. Emeka Egbuka, Sturgeon Shepard, Cade Otton. You know what I'm saying? Watch those dudes. Make sure that we don't let Baker get out of the pocket and get on the move. That's where he's best at making plays. He's best at making plays on the move rather than standing in the pocket. The other thing as well is we don't need him getting out there trying to run for no yards. We don't want him trying to boogie for any reason. You know what I'm saying? Because we have not given Nick Martin any PT for some reason. Why? I don't know. I don't know what the kid's done. I don't know what he's not getting, but it's not working out necessarily. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that we definitely look at the team and say to ourselves, hey, we're going to do everything that we can to be able to get this right and make sure that we're doing, the right thing for us as a squad. And, we're going to keep an eye on these key pieces and not let them beat us. Now, listen, is Emeka Egbuka going to be stopped? I doubt him being stopped. I hope to slow him down. He is too good of a player for me to be talking about stopping anything. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, I do believe the Niners can win this game. Probably going to be another close one, maybe 3 to 5 points maximum. Probably like a 25-22 or maybe even a 27-24. Heck, it could be a 13-10. You never know. Sorry about the trash truck out there. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it's loud as heck. And it's nice, I'm saying? Arizona is nice. We're actually getting some rain for a change, which is extremely rare. Our weather is finally cooling down, so now we can start, not worrying about the AC and all that good stuff. But I think, honestly, we have to be very mindful with this zone defense against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. I don't want us to wind up getting caught and them always finding the soft spots in the zone and being able to make plays. We're going to have to tackle Emeka Egbuka on the first go-around and not the second or third because the man, as you can see, he gets yards after the catch. We got to be careful with that. And then from an offensive standpoint, we must at all times make sure that we are feeding every last person. Juice needs to touch the ball, KB, Jennings, Farrell, Tonjes, CMC. Spread the love as we have been. And don't let that stop. You know what I'm saying? I want us to be able to make sure that we're doing everything correctly and that we are getting as many touches as we possibly can. So thank y'all for tuning in and hanging out with your boy. I'm going to get up out of here. Got some stuff to do today. But I just wanted to come on and hang out for a bit. Let y'all know that I appreciate everybody for stopping in. And I'm almost there, man. I'm trying to get to that 500, man. I mean, that 600. I'm almost there, man. I was 3 away. Now I'm 4 away. I don't know what happened. I don't know who unsubscribed. But either way, definitely tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. I do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Be back probably tomorrow with the post-game show. And that's it, man. Stay up, stay faithful, stay blessed. Have a wonderful weekend, and go Niners.